I'm hanging out in one of the parks in New Jersey. You can see the boys fishing, and it's just really pretty. The water's pretty. So I wanted to talk to you about how I got here to Mod Girl with Vintage Love, because I don't think I've ever really told anyone on this channel how we got here. So and that journey was anything but linear. So let's talk. It all started with a banana bread dream. So I became a caregiver for my mother when she started on her breast cancer journey, and she was so ill that she needed a wheelchair and she couldn't eat. So during that time, I had a dream telling me I should make banana bread. Now, growing up, we created everything from scratch, but not banana bread, oddly enough. So when I tried a recipe from a very well-known TV chef, I thought, this is awful. I can do better than this. So I worked on developing my own recipe, and the cast and the crew and the orchestra members, everybody were my taste testers from the show that I had worked on. And Bessie's Best Inc. was born, and I enjoyed about 12 years of success with corporate clients and all kinds of things until they started to dry up, and then the pandemic hit, and suddenly there were no kitchens, no clients, nothing. I was still caregiving, and I needed something to serve as my mindfulness meditation. I was already a mindfulness meditation coach, but I needed to create a new path for myself. And I had always loved handwriting and found an online calligraphy class. So stuck inside, I worked every morning at sunrise as a practice, and I continue to do that to this day. I started with brush calligraphy, and then I fell in love with dipping the pen in ink, this little pen. And but I also needed to find a new way to make money. So a friend suggested I dig into my Feng Shui business. I was always consulting and giving, unsolicited Feng Shui advice to friends and family. So then everybody was stuck inside. So why not help them like their interiors? And that I did for about 2.5 years. And I was still caregiving. I was still practicing calligraphy every sunrise. And then once the pandemic lifted, everyone wanted to go outside, to see this beautiful stuff. So the wave of clients declined, but the calligraphy picked up. So it didn't take long for me to make money with it, but it certainly wasn't full-time money. Because I was still caregiving. Of course, I was delusional, and I'm an overachiever and perfectionist, and I thought I should be making full-time money with this. And then I got over myself and realized comparison is the thief of joy, and I had just gotten started in this, so I need to calm down and give myself some grace. And then after both of my parents passed away, my father a year after my mother, I watched my mother for 12 years and my father for a year, I realized that I had learned a lot during that caregiving. And the biggest lesson I learned was that none of this stuff matters. It just doesn't. The only thing that matters is to be happy and help someone along the way if you can, even just one person. And I also vowed to only make a living doing what I love, which is art in all its forms. I always have, and that's the goal. I certainly don't believe any single step could have sped up the process for me making a full-time living from my art. There are many lessons I need to learn, and personal lessons, but the entrepreneurial lessons I learned from creating a thriving baked goods business were invaluable as I applied them to this new creative industry. So I started Mod Girl with Vintage Love, a subsidiary of Bessie's Best Inc., because I have always loved infusing vintage elements into every facet of my life, wearing a purse or, putting a little toy up and in my interiors. But I also feel that calligraphy was just kind of the icing on the cake. So with Bessie's Best, Mod Girl, I offer 3 services. So the first one is calligraphy commissions, as well as working as a live event calligrapher and engraver for weddings and retreats and for corporate entities. And I also teach grandma hobbies like embroidery and baking. And many of us grew up with these kind of fun hobbies, so it's refreshing to help people step away from the screens, and they practice mindfulness doing these hobbies without even knowing it. The second service I offered is as a home stylist specializing in vintage applications. So I help people who have inherited furnishings and objects, toys, vases, photos, stuff like that, from their loved ones who have passed on. And we all have fantastic items that we cherish, but they have no practical use. They're just fun to have around. And I help people kind of blow off the dust from these treasured pieces and teach them the art of displaying items that tell a bit of your personality without leaving your home looking like a museum, because it's a trap we can all fall into. And the third thing I offer is, it's been over 3 decades of doing wardrobe, so I decided to offer my stylist services, and I enjoy helping people add a little vintage to their style, and like a vintage purse, like I said before, with a modern capsule wardrobe can show off your personality and your personal style with like kind of whimsy and charm. Or for men, maybe you wear a vintage fedora that speaks volumes with like a simple casual slacks and sweater. So I'm really proud of my journey showing adaptability and giving hopes to people to take the leap of faith into what you know best, and the money will follow. And I'm living proof. And if you have any questions or you'd like to enjoy any of my services, just kind of leave a comment, give me a ring, and let's get started. But I really encourage you to just take the leap, particularly for my midlifers. Just do it. It's worth it.